But it doesn't mean that everything Fuentes says is wrong. It's not wrong. And more to the point, what he says on the air and his huge popularity, which has only increased the more these people scream at him, says a lot about the people who are listening and their legitimate concerns and the factors in our society, in America and the West, that gave rise to their attitudes. Like, how did this happen? Let's, for once, in the last 20 years, look back and ask ourselves an honest question. How did this happen? Let's do what we didn't do when we withdrew from Afghanistan or declared a truce in Iraq or carted away the rubble from 9/11. We never asked, how did this happen? And no one was ever held responsible for allowing it to happen or the bad decisions that made it happen. Not one person. And so, of course, inevitably, disasters followed disasters, because if you never take the time to take responsibility for what you've done or even understand it, you're apt to repeat it. It's the most obvious observation in the world. It's the basis of good parenting. It's why you make your kids apologize, of course. So let's, in the case of Nick Fuentes, focus not on Nick Fuentes, but on the people who watch Nick Fuentes. What kind of world have they grown up in? These young white men. Well, they've grown up in, over the last 10 years, a world that hates them. And not in a subtle way. Openly, with a Hutu-like directness and ferocity. They've grown up in a country that has systematically, in law, excluded them from the workplace, from education, from federal grants, and has told them again and again and again, no, we're not discriminating against you, and yes, you deserve it. Imagine growing up like that. And again, this isn't behind the scenes. This is way out in the open. And not only has it done exactly that to young white men, of course, white men being the one group who are officially excluded under DEI. There's only one, it's white men, white straight men. It's not whining. And by the way, this happens to be the one group in America who, by and large, have been taught for cultural reasons, don't whine. Don't talk about yourself so much. No one wants to hear your story. And whatever you do, don't be the victim. All of that's good advice, by the way. But this group has not only been excluded with the force of law by the Justice Department in every state and at every college and university, with maybe 3 exceptions, they've been mocked and attacked and lectured and harangued and screamed at. Every bookstore in America had books on display. Whiteness is the problem. Well, what if you're white? What if you're like 19 and you're thinking about, how do I make my way in this increasingly competitive, maybe even ruthless country? And everywhere I go, people are telling me I'm bad because of the way I was born. What effect would that have on you? And then you flip on the tube or the internet, and all these people with big jobs making big salaries who have the implied moral authority of their positions are telling you you're bad because of your skin color. And by the way, this is not a guess. Here's an example.
We have systemic racism in the United States of America. It exists today, and it's a white man's problem. White men are responsible for it, not black men.
And we have stood by to see mediocre, mealy-mouthed, snowflake white men who are incapable of taking critique, who are willing to dole out infamous repudiations of the humanity of the other, and yet they call us snowflakes, and they are the biggest flakes of snow to hit the earth.
American history is one in which white Americans, by and large, have been taught to have indifference or even contempt for black life. We have defined the country as a white nation where people of color are here on a guest pass.
1 in 3 Americans are racists. 1 in 3 Americans are terrified that this country by the year 2040 is not going to be majority white.
There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. And don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed.
Wake up, white men. What the fuck is wrong with you? And you're just eating it up. Oh, my gosh. Look at what they're doing. All of a sudden, my heritage is going to be over. That I want to live in a country where white kids go to white schools and white people marry each other. What is wrong with that? I want to grow up in a country that my great-grandfather grew up in. That country doesn't exist anymore, asshole.
So you can see why there probably are some Nick Fuentes viewers who are a little confused when they hear themselves attacked as racist. Racism is wrong. Of course, it is wrong. But they've grown up in a world where one of the leading CNN anchors is looking right into the cameras. What the fuck is wrong with you, white people? You want to be near other white people? You want to have a heritage? You want to have white children? How dare you? The CNN anchor is married to a white guy. Whatever. But it's a little hard to tell people that racism is wrong when you're committing it. And again, it's not just a few people. It was our entire ruling class was lecturing us about how whiteness is a disease. It's a plague. It's inherently sinful. It's the source of all evil. The president of the United States stood up and said racism is the problem, and it's only committed by whites. It's a white man problem. Is racism only committed by whites? No, and everyone knows that. Hating other people is a human problem, one that every person struggles with, hopefully struggles against. because it's wrong. It's always wrong. Anti-Semitism is wrong. It's every bit as wrong as what you just saw. It's every bit as anti-black racism or anti-Malaysian racism. It doesn't matter. Hating people for how they were born is wrong. It's called a universal principle. This country is founded on universal principles. They apply to everyone equally. That's the promise of America. That is Western civilization. You could sum it up in a sentence. What is Western civilization? Well, it's a civilization governed by universal principles. Everyone can be saved. No one is damned by his nature. And hating any group, because that's true, hating any group is by definition immoral. Doesn't mean it hasn't happened. It happens all the time, of course, because it's the default setting in the human heart. But we need to struggle against it. Maybe not ban it. Hard to ban attitudes. And once you get down that road, you become totalitarian immediately. But say it's wrong. And if it's not wrong in every case, then it can't really be wrong, can it? If it's not a universal principle, then it's not a principle. And so how can my racism be worse than your racism? Well, of course it can't. So the people lecturing Fuentes viewers for something that is wrong, hating all Jews is wrong, totally wrong, don't have the moral authority to make the case because they've been engaging in this in public and in private for the entire lifetime of Nick Fuentes viewers. So it's hard to take them seriously. And by the way, you can tell exactly where this is going. It's going toward violence, tribal warfare. That's the last thing you want. That's why this is a great country. That's why it's exceptional, because we haven't had that. And why haven't we had that? Because we have self-consciously and out loud said, these are universal principles that apply to every human being because every human being was created by God in God's image.